See how wish it was. If you don't get that idea on the camera. I know. Stop it. All right, hi everybody.
Hello.
All right, who do I have? I see Lisa and I see Lee and Dee. Okay. Wow. Okay, well, today, we did check there. All right, so today we're gonna spend a little time talking about, I'm under contract, what the heck do I do now? Okay, because how many of you aren't really sure what happens when you actually get somebody under contract? Okay, you guys are all experts. I do that. Yeah, Holly raised your hand and nobody else said a word. So I thought, oh, well, then you guys speak. All right, so here's the thing. Right? There are certain things, so let's define under contract. When you sign an exclusive right to buy or an exclusive right to sell, you have a contract agreement for the consumer to hire you to represent them for whichever one you're filling out. True?
Sure.
When we use the words under contract in our industry, we usually mean a buyer and a seller have executed a contract to buy and sell, and they have reached an agreement to purchase a piece of property. So when I talk about I'm under contract, what the heck do I do now? I'm starting from that moment in time. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Okay. Fair enough, Sue? Perfect. Okay. So let's start talking through that. Okay. Now, here's what I would tell you, right? And as I look around the room, most of you are using TCs. However, they're not going to do it for you. I mean, they do pieces of it, right? They do the administrative part of it, but they don't do the realtor part of it. Okay. And you still are responsible for even the things that your TC does, which is why you want to hire a good one. Okay. And what I would say is use the dates and deadlines in the contract to help you with the beginning. Okay. And so we go under contract. What's the first thing that has to happen?
What do you mean? First thing is.
What's the first thing that has to happen?
Sign the papers.
They sign the papers. Buyer and seller have signed. Now what? Okay.
Now we gotta get things scheduled.
We got to get some things
We gotta
scheduled.
get, approval, usually the pre-approval is done before that.
Yeah, pre-approvals are long before that. So we're under contract. So I have yellow stickies for buyers and I have pinky purpley ones for sellers.
Okay.
So I think I probably need to do this so that I don't get confused.
I was gonna say, should put a beam in it just in case.
I like it.
Okay, so, oops.
How are you?
Okay, so I have buyers over here. And I am so sorry for Zoom land today. And sellers over here. Okay, so if I have a buyer, because that's where most of you have played.
Okay, hang on here.
I see friends from Castle Rock. Okay, so I have a buyer. Okay, what's the first thing the buyer needs? What's one of the first things the buyer needs to do?
Inspection.
Before that,
Get a pre. Oh, money too.
The earnest money,
if it's for an year, it's money. Okay,
That's right. I got you.
earnest money needs to be turned in, right?
Correct.
All right, so I got that little sticky here. There's a reason why I use stickies, you're about to find out. Okay, I'm under contract and I'm the seller. What's the first thing the seller needs to do? They need to order title insurance.
I'm so glad that was passed today.
They
So what do they do?
can order the title insurance.
Yes.
Okay, so that's gonna go over here. I'm wondering. I wonder if there's a way to move my laptop.
You can always stick them on this side of the wall. And we just move
We
and
can
turn
do
it
this.
this way.
We can do this. Stacy's got magic. That's why she's in my group, because she's so good at this. Okay, we're gonna try and help you, Zoom. Hang on, let's see. Can you see my stickies?
Can we move the stand?
Nice. There it goes.
I can't really read them though. You're not gonna be able to read them. Okay, so,
Yellow fire, purple seller.
yeah, okay. So the seller orders the title insurance. The buyer turns in the earnest money. What else does the buyer need to do?
What else does the buyer need to do? They need to,
Schedule an inspection. Do they already have their funds pre-approved and?
Well, so pre-approval is gonna happen before you go to contract, right?
Okay, so it,
Inspections are.
inspection.
well, the inspection comes a little later.
I can move earnest money down. They have to send the contract to buy and sell to the lender.
That's right.
Because the lender needs to know.
Paper, I don't have this sticky note I can bring down.
Yeah. Here's what I'm telling you guys, I probably wouldn't be writing this down as Margaret goes.
Oh, so wait till the end.
Uh-huh,
Oh, I
take
mean,
pictures.
okay, okay.
And soon we will put
Got
pictures up and send them to you guys, we'll get a tenant statement so that you know who you guys are. Okay, so, okay, so you guys told me that the buyers have to do inspection,
Yes.
okay? So we need to schedule it, right? And then we need to do it, is that fair?
There,
Okay,
And this again, are you in the house that you've already got, not a contract for, but you've already found the house, right? Or is this to like?
we have shown them the house,
Okay.
we have submitted an offer. The offer's been accepted, so we are under contract.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. Okay, we don't care about what happens up to under contract, because here's what I truly believe. You guys are so afraid to be successful because you don't know this. Because you don't know how to lead them through it, right? Okay? All right, so buyer has the inspection, seller's done his title insurance. Okay, so then the buyer has the inspection. Then what happens?
The seller needs to get a chance.
Before that,
Oh,
Objection, objection.
inspection objection, who was that?
Lisa.
Oh, yeah, she's in the middle of
Say it loud, Lisa.
Okay, so the buyer is gonna create an inspection objection. That goes to who?
So,
seller.
The listing agent and the seller. So then what happens?
okay, maybe.
who's that figure, work out what's gonna be
Inspection resolution.
done.
Right. so
There's
you
a
go for it,
whole
right?
bunch of negotiation.
Go ahead, what?
There's a whole bunch of negotiation.
Yeah, especially if that's solar. Okay, so if you're gonna have the inspection objection, you're gonna send it in, then the seller is gonna review it. There's gonna be negotiations around what they're going to do and not do, that's going to result in what?
The inspection resolution.
You guys have been watching the contract classes. Okay? What else happens?
The inspection stuff gets resolved halfway.
Yeah, we don't care about that anymore.
Yeah.
Once it's the agent, but I have the resolution signed,
Oh, okay.
I'm trusting that the seller is gonna do their doggone job,
Oh, okay.
okay? What else has to happen?
At some point, I don't know if it's actually next in line, but do they have to figure out what's included and excluded?
That's part of the original contract offer,
Got it,
okay?
Setting closing date,
That's part of the contract.
it's true.
We can schedule it, we're a long ways from scheduling
Got a
close.
final inspection?
There's no final
Okay,
inspection.
okay.
I do know this.
How about, what is one thing that we all want on our houses in case the houses burn down?
Home warranty.
Insurance.
Insurance.
Oh, there's insurance, so does this, but who gets that,
Buyer.
Fire.
right?
Buying the house.
So they have to get their homeowner's insurance or their property insurance, so that needs to get ordered. By the way, all of these things are happening really close together. Right? So this is all in the first 7 to 10 days. Okay, All right, we're through inspection, we have property insurance, we're working with our lender, we signed the resolution. Now what?
Did the seller order the HOA docs?
HOA docs,
Or the
thank
title
you,
company?
Susie. So, HOA docs, if there's HOA docs, who has to order those?
The sell.
Yeah,
What about like property taxes, is that part of that HOA you talking about there, is that?
what?
Are you thinking about property taxes they have to pay, okay, so.
Now, the property tax statement, the tax settlement statement is part of the title work that the title company orders, because remember in the contract to buy and sell, it does say who's going to pay for the tax certificate. So that falls into the seller side, but that usually lines up right along with title. When you order your title policy as a seller, that's gonna include that tax thing, if you're working with a reputable title company.
And an O&E,
Oh, baby, that happened way before we took the listing. Right, Castle Rock? I taught that class yesterday in Castle Rock. I think the word O&E got beat into their heads yesterday. Huh? Listing, but that happened way before we were.
How about appraisal?
Okay, so. How about an ILC or survey?
Okay,
What's an ILC?
An ILC is an improvement location certificate.
that comes from the buyer.
The buyer would order it. You are correct.
I have a question.
Usually. So an ILC is like a mini survey. Okay? And basically the difference is money. But also an ILC shows you where improvements on the property are in relationship to the property boundaries. Okay? So it'll show you where the house is. It'll show you where the detached garage is. It'll show you where the shed is. It will show you where the septic system is. It will show you where the leach field is. Okay, it'll actually sometimes show you where the fence is compared to. A survey is where they're gonna go out and they're gonna do a whole lot more. They're gonna mark it off, all of that type of stuff. It's big. Survey, thousands. ILC, about 500-ish.
Do they expire? Because like, what if one's been done and you have a date that it was done 5 years ago? Is it still current or?
Well, I don't know if they've done anything else to the property.
So they did improvements.
So if they didn't do any improvements, it would still be the same. Right? Because the boundaries don't change.
right, that doesn't change.
Right? So I guess if they dug an outdoor in-ground pool, that might change things if they got too close. So it depends. Okay.
Is there a reason why it would be done before or after inspection and everything? I'm just, I feel like it should go hand in hand because it's.
Usually you want to get through inspection because you can't clear inspection because of the home condition. Why would you spend all this extra money?
Oh, okay, so that's not why you do it toward the end, if you've already passed inspection, you're good.
Yeah,
Okay.
and if you look at the dates and deadlines of the contract, it kind of flows out this way.
Now, if they rule something that's like changed and they have to, could they, like an inspection, no, they can stop the contract going through or something like that, you know how like. Sorry, I have to word that out. If the inspector says the house needs structural fixing and that's gonna stop the whole contract, can an ILC do the same thing?
No, so it's two different things.
Okay,
So a home inspection talks about the condition of the home. Now, I'm going to say this, an inspection is not pass fail. You're gonna have a house that's great, and there's still could do an inspection, and the inspector's gonna tell you all the things that need to be addressed in the house. They also are there to teach the buyer about the house, like, I don't know, where's the water shut off? Right? And if you were in the hoarder house, they couldn't find it because there was so much stuff in front of it. But once the house was cleared out, it was right there. You think I'm joking, ask Ryan. So
Is that?
anyway,
Also, ILCs, I believe, are
Yeah.
surveys, it's taking a bit longer from what Val said the other day to get
especially in the
them,
mountains.
especially in the mountains. So
Wow.
you gotta really work with your time. It's just,
They're busy.
They're busy.
Like days or
Weeks.
It
It
depends.
weeks. It depends.
okay.
It depends. So I would definitely, if that's something you think is gonna, like, how often have we gotten an ILC on a house in the city?
Once, and that was because somebody encroached by a square inch in the driveway.
So if you don't get one every time, but if you're like, oh, there you
And what would create a red flag to get one?
Okay, so I got this. Okay, so Title has this wonderful little tool.
Yep.
It's kind of like a satellite, they can look down and they can see the property lines. And if they see something that is encroached from the other property onto the property line, they wanna know. So sometimes title will require an ILC in order to issue the title policy, because the title company is ensuring that you're getting everything that's in that legal description.
Is
So-
that standard, like every title company does that, or?
They all do the search, yes.
Okay.
Okay, now, I've only had it happen once, have you ever had it happen? I had it happen one time, we were buying property in Old Englewood, and it was driveway that was alley access. Okay? And the neighbor had put in a concrete driveway on his side and it flared at the alley. Okay? The flare went 1 square inch over into the property that we were buying. So the title company said, we need an ILC, it looks like there's an encroachment. We went out, we measured it, sure enough, it's 1 square inch, so the title company will not insure that 1 square inch.
Makes sense.
So everybody's fine in that case, but if it was more than that. What if their whole driveway was over the line by a foot?
Or,
And now it's like, oh,
Fence or
hang
something.
on.
Or what if it's Highlands Ranch?
Oh, that was
Okay.
crazy.
So, back when Highlands Ranch was developed, right, when you buy a new house, Greg, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't the villagers put ILC? Yeah, they create it for every property. Okay, well, so, builder bought the property, built the property, buyers bought them. And then this one particular owner decides to resell their property. Well, the buyer on the resale goes, I want an ILC. And the agent goes, you're in town, you don't need one. Because I want one. Okay, so they ordered it. And they discovered that the property lines, the way the legal description were written, ran right down the middle of every single house.
Wait,
So the entire block was off.
uh,
Every house was built. My house was half on this property line and half on this property line. And this house was half and half, and this house was half and half.
Yeah.
You guys don't, they don't have.
And so, and somebody never done an ILC, who would have ever known? And yet when you buy a property, you buy the legal description, right?
But you can't move the house.
So the legal description had me buying half of my house and half of Stacy's house, right? So what do you think they did?
Replanted it, or
They had to do the full legal descriptions on that entire block.
like,
They got a full
what would
survey,
that
I
look
guess,
like?
at that point.
What look like
Kind
that?
of legal redoing that.
That's a lot of attorneys,
Oh.
surveyors, the county.
The building, that building, don't want to.
It's very similar to when the community called Stapleton got moved to Central Park.
Oh,
All of those legal descriptions had to be changed in the county records.
I remember that.
dang.
Okay? Okay, that was a derailer, but that's.
Yeah,
okay.
well, sorry.
No, it was good.
But it takes time, so you kinda, yeah.
Alright, how we doing, Zoom? We doing okay? Alright. Okay, so we've ordered the ILC, what else does the buyer need? Maybe,
Appraisal.
huh?
appraisal.
Appraisal. When that seller doesn't have to do the doggone thing, does he?
Well, we've missed a few things
Okay,
that the seller has to do.
what did we miss on the seller side, Stacy?
Well, those disclosures should start coming out pretty.
Oh, yeah. We need to send out disclosures, this is why Stacy's in the room, because I forget. Alright, so we need to send disclosures, that happens way up here, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Ideally, the disclosures happen simultaneously with the earnest money.
Does everybody know what those disclosures are?
Those are the cities and all known defects.
The forms would be called your seller's property disclosure, the square footage disclosure, the source of water, the land-based pay disclosure.
Radon, oh no,
Anything
radon's
else? That's it,
I think that's it.
She knows I looked at her.
I think that's it. You
I
got
don't have the contract in front of me. Okay, what else? What else has to happen to get to closing? We have people in this room, you've been buyers and sellers. What else are we missing?
Well,
Disclosures.
We just did that.
Okay, I didn't hear that.
Wait, but she had a question about solar.
Are you still on the beach?
No, I'm home.
Okay, I know, but your brain might be still on the beach.
No, it's not, but I just couldn't hear.
Oh,
It is
gotcha.
harder on Zoom.
It
All right,
sometimes,
Zoom.
sometimes it cuts in and out.
All right, disclosures, what else? What else are we missing?
For which side?
I don't care, pick one. Tell me which side it is.
There's like due diligence.
Oh, yeah.
Usually around inspection time.
Inspection time.
Yeah. So if the buyer in the contract to buy and sell requested due diligence documents, yes. I think I need to move this one down, Stace, what do you think?
Yeah.
HOA docs, inspection resolution, due diligence documents. Okay, what else? We need to get a loan approach?
Somewhere in there.
About, did anyone
Unless
say
they back
sewer
it up.
inspection?
Yeah.
Say what, Patrick?
Anybody say sewer scope?
We included that in inspections,
Okay,
but good question.
Do you want to put appraisal objection and resolution deadline in there, or just leave that all in appraisal?
We'll just leave it in appraisal, you guys okay with that?
Okay.
Because there's elements to multiples of these, right?
Yeah.
The seller orders the title insurance, then the buyer's gotta review the title insurance and decide if they want to object, right? Yeah. We don't put all of these pieces in here, otherwise I can't get tall enough.
All of it.
I can't get tall enough to get all of those down, right? When it comes to HOA docs, right, the buyer has an opportunity to review them.
Yeah.
And decide if they want to object.
Right.
Okay, so I could put some of that on there, and we probably will as we keep going through this. Okay, what else? What do you do the day before closing?
Walk through. Final auction.
Yep, walk through.
good faith estimate of the closing costs? Or exact closing costs?
So review the settlement statements,
Yes,
okay, and which side is that?
it'll be on both.
Yes. You're like, Margaret, why is this just a contract class? It's not, because I'm not talking about dates. Okay, what else do we need to do? Well,
Conditional sale?
oh, yeah, possibly.
What'd you say?
Conditional sale means they need to sell their other house. That could happen, right?
Is that separate in the contract?
It's always in the contract.
Okay.
So
The sale contingency, if they need to sell one, absolutely is in the contract mindset. Okay? And then the last thing that I can think of without looking at a contract is we all need to go to closing.
Right.
Okay? Anything else I'm missing? Yeah, keep up contract, Stacy. I'm running out of space already. Look at this, I'm already down in the wall.
Let me find one real quick.
about
I think we hit the high bars and dates and deadlines.
concessions?
So the dates and deadlines are driving my activities. This is where it begins. Right? Agree?
Yes.
Okay. Congratulations, class is over. I'm kidding, I'm kidding, okay? As an agent, do you just sit back and let these things happen? No. So, my purpose in this class is for you guys to build systems in your business to help you manage this with or without a TC. Okay, so let's back this bad boy up. Did we get them all?
Yeah, possession, maybe if there's a PCOA.
Alright, okay, so congratulations, we're buyer's agents. Okay, we're gonna start there. And by the way, if you think that I just do this to teach, hey Stacy, do you remember the day that we were at my duplex and I had that big white wall and we laid out our entire processes?
It was massive.
It was massive, it took up, a buyer side took up two complete flow charts. Okay, not for just this, But now let's think about it. Your buyer just went under contract. Do they know what to do?
No.
So, how are you going to communicate with them what they need to do? And this is where you guys get to design your own businesses. I'm going to share with you best practices, but you do you. Because contractually, as long as these things don't get done, you're good. But the reality is there's so much more to it.
Wouldn't that be laid out during your buyer consultation meeting?
And they remember everything you said 3 weeks ago.
Of course they do.
And they read the contract every line, so they know their deadlines. Baloney. I would recommend an email to your buyer and your seller. And again, this is your action, marketing action. But you might decide that once they go under contract, you send them an email. And what I would do is I'd build out a template. So that way you don't have to write it from scratch every time. Now, what I include in mine, I should say what we include in ours, because we use the same one, is we talk about congratulations. And we don't focus on every timeline in the contract. We focus them on what they have to do in the next 10 days. Right? So, Mr. Buyer, congratulations. Your contract has been sent to your lender. We already did that. We did that for you. Okay? You need to turn in the earnest money. Here's the name of the title company. Here's the location of the title company. Here's the phone number for our escrow officer at the title company.
Get a receipt.
And then we put in there, if you wire it, contact them for wiring instructions, because you don't give wiring instructions, right?
A lot of scams.
There's a lot of, yes, it's scary. We actually had an agent in our office, their client got an attempt on it. Very scary. So, where to turn it in, who to call for wiring instructions, and if you physically take the personal check or the cashier's check to the title company, get a receipt. And I tell them to take with them the address and the name of the seller. So I even put the seller's last name in my email. Because they're not gonna pull up the contract, but they'll pull up your email on their phone. Okay? The other thing I'm gonna tell them in that email is to go get their property insurance. And I give them the contact of David Fear in our office, who's our insurance broker. He's a great resource for our buyers if they don't have somebody. But remember, we're the resource. Okay?
Margaret, what was before title company? After you got the congratulations, what's the number one thing?
So the next 10 days, she's.
Oh, I thought you said something before that.
Earnest money to the title company.
Oh, that I sent the contract to the lender.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I can't remember everything I say, so.
Right.
My daughter informed me yesterday that I'm starting to act old.
I'm salty.
It kind of was, but we were talking about family members who are starting to show their age. So evidently I am. Anyway,
What about the ones that aren't?
huh?
What about the ones that aren't?
Yeah, well, it all is relative, okay? So we're gonna turn in the earnest money, here's your property insurance, and then you need to schedule your inspections. I give them the name of my 3 preferred home inspection companies. Okay, and they can call, or if they would like, I can do it, or in my world, my TC can do it. Okay, so I just lay out for them what's gonna happen in the next 10 days. Right, and then you can throw in there any other communication you want. Right, I like to have a little fun. Shocker, I know you guys don't believe that, but I have a little bit of fun, and in my email, I have the top 10 things Margaret says not to do. And one of them is, you're going to have a what the heck did I just do moment. Breathe your way through it, everybody goes through it. My buyers told me last weekend when we were at the inspection, they said, it happened. Yeah, it does, it happens, okay? So now, you've sent out the communication to the buyer. And it can include, right, those few things. What communication might you send to the seller? Congratulations, you're under contract. We will be placing an order with the title company for the entire insurance tomorrow or today or whatever we did it. The buyer we expect the buyer will turn in their earnest money in the next 10 days. Or whatever the due, but by the date, sorry, in the next couple of days. And then once they have scheduled their inspection, we will let you know when that is scheduled for. Please plan to be out of your office for anywhere from 3 to 4 hours. I'm setting expectations, I'm setting expectations on what the seller can expect. They need to be out of the house for 3 to 4 hours. Okay?
And then your house still be in
Yeah,
showing condition.
and just because we're in a contract doesn't mean the dirty underwear can go back. So the house needs to look, and this is something I talked to my sellers about. The house needs to look as good or better an inspection as it did when we were showing. Because it's the buyer's second chance to see the house. And it's their chance to fall back in love with it. Or they run around with tape measures and measure every room and they do their thing, right? But you want to set those expectations with your seller as to what's going to happen around the inspection. Okay? If there's due diligence documents requested, I would probably include that in that initial email to the seller, stating that they need to pull those documents together, and I would list the documents from the contract in my email, because they're not gonna go look at the contract. I know you all want them to, and they're not going to, it's 22 pages. And then you can either tell them, look, you can either upload those and email them to me and I'll send them over, or you can leave them on the kitchen counter for the inspection. Either way is accepted. Okay. All right. Zoom, any questions? Am I missing anything?
What is the due diligence doc specifically? What are those?
Oh, whatever the buyer seems to think they need. So due diligence documents, there's some agents out there that have this canned laundry list that says any prior inspections, surveys, just a laundry list of stuff that honestly,
Transferable warranty.
transferable warranties, permits, receipts for anything over $1,000 that you spent in the 40 years that you've lived in the house. Yes, Greg, they ask for that garbage.
Sometimes they do.
So if you've ever taken my contract to buy and sell class, I tell you when you're writing offers, don't be that agent. Write the things that matter.
Right.
I will tell you this, there are a lot of contracts that I write, I don't ask for a single due diligence on. Because let's be honest, the inspection they did when they bought the house 7 years ago doesn't matter today.
Oh,
No, means nothing. So who cares? Why are we asking for something that doesn't matter? And these should really be items that your buyer wants to know about. To this date, I have never experienced firsthand or in coaching for 9 years, someone who terminated over due diligence documents. They've terminated over HOA docs, but they have not terminated over due diligence.
Would HOA docs go in those due diligence
No,
docs?
they're separate. It's separate deadline in the contract.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Now, why would you provide them if they ask for it?
Huh?
Why would you provide the due diligence?
If they ask for them, I'll give them, if we have them, we'll give them what they ask for. But there's this little clause that the seller has available to them. Okay, so if the seller had a really bad prior home inspection, you think he still has it? Oh, not once you asked, there's the shredder, I was just cleaning out papers as I was getting ready to move, it went away.
oh.
I mean, no meaning. Now, I will ask for things that matter. My buyer's house, they literally put a brand new roof on last month. Guess what we asked for?
Warranty,
The roof warranty.
receipt, warranty, whatever they got.
Yeah, I wanted to know who the roofer was. By the way, the roofer already had to go out and fix some stuff. But because we did the inspection and he checked the roof, even though it was brand new install. So
Yeah.
my point is, when you're due diligencing it, like, you want to make sure it's stuff that actually matters. Okay? It doesn't make sense to get a stack of stuff that means nothing.
Yep.
Okay? All right, so now another great place for communication would be where, if I'm the buyer. Should have brought another color sticky. I would say that another great place to send an email to the buyer is after the inspection is completed. Okay? Because you want to reset the verbal expectations that you gave surrounding what? Health, safety, material items, all of that stuff, right? So that is another great place to do communication. Okay, now I have line green. Email. This is my action communication, is this line green color. It's this. Okay. I'm gonna do an email here about the time of inspection. Anytime you have a conversation with your client, I would always follow up a summary of that communication in email. You guys, I know you love text. You guys, I like text too because it's easy. And it's quick. Do you know how hard it is to pull your text messages if you get subpoenaed?
Well, you know, it's a legal document, right? So,
At least it's considered a actual validation of a conversation, right?
Time on it and.
Exactly. So does your text messages, but the reality is, you know, unless you're like Margaret who never deletes a text message, except from every flipper who wants to buy my off-market properties, you know, my emails are so big, I don't wanna go digging for them. Your text, yeah. My text, I go, yeah, it's horrible. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna email an inspection, right? When the buyer gets a copy of the title commitment, right? That might be included in this one, right? This email about inspection, depending on the timing, could also be an email explaining the title commitment that they received. Okay? Now these are just ideas. You guys can do whatever you want. By the way, for those of you that are CTME users and you've got it now, if you go into the clause catalog, Damien's actually pre-written some emails. They're great for inspiration. I tell Damien all the time, I don't use your words exactly when it comes to the email stuff, but sometimes it's great for writer's block. Okay? If I got a seller, what am I emailing my seller about? I'm gonna send him an email right after we go to contract, and I'm gonna set expectations probably all the way down to inspection schedule. Because that's gonna happen for 10 days, right? And then if something comes up, I'm gonna email him as we go, right? But these are some standard templates that you can build into your businesses. And I gotta tell you, I sure wish we would have had AI when I wrote those templates.
We could probably tweak now.
We could probably tweak them and we probably should. But you could go to AI and say, I represent a buyer who just went into contract. I want to give them information about these things. What would I help me draft an email? Chat will probably do it for you. Okay. Once you're through inspection, right, and they sign the resolution, right, you might do another email here about appraisal. Okay. And then you always want to do an email along with your settlement statements. How many of you guys actually know how to read a settlement statement? Kind of? Okay, because who knows who wrote the contract or who knows the terms of the contract? Are the people who create those settlement statements human?
Yes.
Do they make mistakes?
Yes.
Sometimes both the lender and the title company make the same mistake. I found one time where they took the HOA dues that were paid semi-annually and they prorated them as if it was monthly. Do you think that matters?
Yes.
It's not chump change in some cases. Now that one, we caught it at the doggone closing. And everybody's like, we're good. It's only $40. We don't care. Right? But it could have been much more. So who needs to be gut checking those things?
You.
All of you guys. Okay. All right. Stacy, you've been in the business for a couple of years. Anything I'm missing? I could probably pull our process document and find it.
Yeah, I wish we could. I mean, there's always lots of communications, but I think those are the big ones.
Okay, questions? Okay,
We're not done. We're not done now.
are you doing closing gifts? If so, gotta go buy it.
Think ahead, prepare.
Okay, now, you can give closing gifts at the closing table. Which is very common. You can give closing gifts and drop them off after. I don't think there's a wrong or a right way to do it. Back pre-COVID, when the buyers and sellers would be sitting in the room together. And I will never forget this one. I walk in with, so this was a multi-million-dollar home. And they were installing a pool. And so their closing gift was, we got this great big huge bin or galvanized drink container. We had it branded to their names, we had it in monograms. And then we ordered monogrammed pool towels for enough for all of the grandkids. Okay, so I got to the title company early, I'm setting up the stand, I'm doing all the things. And, you know, my client buyers walk in and he looks at it and goes, that's got my name on it. And I said, yeah, it does. Okay, and so then the seller walked in. Guess what the seller's agent gave their client?
Toilet paper.
$4 million house, nothing. I felt so bad. I felt bad, right? I felt bad for the seller to see what this buyer was getting. I felt bad for the agent who just got put in a really bad situation. The gift of COVID is very early. Sellers and buyers show up together, so now you can do whatever you want.
Right.
Okay, but be aware. I've also done it where I got behind and I didn't get it done prior to closing. And then guess what? Once closing over, do y'all get busy?
Yeah.
Do y'all have life? One time I gave somebody their closing gifts 4 months after they closed. I said I'll never do that.
But a week later is not so.
But a week later works, right? And by the way, you don't have to do any. Closing gifts are not required. Right? They're a nice touch, but don't feel that you have to. But if you're going to do it, then put that on your checklist. So get your closing gift in your card. Okay? All right. So now we're done.
Yeah.
Right? We all cashed our checks. We brought our checks to the offices. By the way, when you get handed checks at the closing table for the office, you can sit on them for a month. Did you know that? You're right, you can't. You got 48 hours to turn them in. If you're closing on the last day of the month, you better get them in savings. Okay? Seriously, like the market centers are a business. We need to get these monies to the business so that they can turn it in. Okay, because they were forecasting that revenue to come in. If you don't turn your checks in on time, it's a little bit of a problem.
To your managing broker.
We just turn them into the MC. And each of the two offices have their different ways to do that. So if I promise you this, if you walk in with money, somebody will tell you where to put it.
Okay.
Right? Except in Castle Rock, I would say, I don't know, and then I'd go call, where do I put the checks? But here they go on Elizabeth's decks. So now we're done. Never have to talk to these people again, right? No?
Where's your anniversary, birthdays, keep it.
Okay, so we need some kind of follow-up plan. But what else do we want from this client that we just, what else?
A review.
We want them to write a
What was it,
testimonial.
Coach?
It's a review.
A testimonial,
Testimony.
right? So what is your testimonial process? Right? And how are you going to ask them to do it? Right? So this goes for both of them, but I only wrote one sticky, so we'll just kind of put it in the middle. Okay? So what is your testimonial process, right? Because here's the reality. Yesterday, down in Castle Rock, we had a class with Rachel Adams Lee, and she was talking about all of the different ways to do social media and all of that type of stuff. And one of the big things was about testimonials, right? And then Chris showed us how to put testimonials into our websites in Command, right? But here's what we now know. People are looking for you using what?
And
AI.
Social media.
No, they are looking for you in AI. They are going out to AI, not Google anymore. They are going to AI and saying, who's the best agent in Elizabeth, Colorado? I'm looking for a real estate agent who covers Parker, Colorado, who's a pit bull. Guess how they're finding you? They're looking at your testimonials in all of the different websites. Google, Zillow, Instagram, LinkedIn, huh? YouTube, right? Now, here's what I'm going to say. On Google, if you can get a review on Google, Stacy, can I not copy and paste that into my website?
yes,
Can I not create a post about that and put it on my Instagram?
yes,
Can I not create something out of it on YouTube?
yes.
If you have them put it on your websites directly, you can't get it to Google. Because they have to be signed into Google. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, you can copy and paste them from Google. Zillow is the same way. You can't go put it in from somewhere else.
They want verified individuals, putting that in Google or Zillow, something like that.
So if it were me, so when we send ours out, we're asking for it on my Google business page. If you don't have a Google business page set up, go get it done. There's a lot of things I tell you not to do. Like I tell you, you don't need a sexy website, stop worrying about it. You don't need a logo, stop worrying about it. You need a Google business page and you need to be posting on it. Because that's where you can capture your testimonials. That's where you can post your listings. Okay, that's where because some of those AIs are owned by Google. They're gonna go there, right? Same way with Zillow. So I ask my clients to put up, I always ask Google first, Zillow second, and then third is LinkedIn, and fourth is our Facebook business page. Is that all of them? I think so. Now, why LinkedIn? That's a personal choice for me because of my past lives being a former executive from Wells Fargo and Lumen. I want my former coworkers to see that I'm still a rock star. Okay, you might not need that, right? So you could flip that around, but I highly encourage at least Google and Zillow. I don't like Zillow, but guess what? Where's the consumer going? Zillow. All the time. They will look you up, okay? And the millennials and the younger will put more credibility into an online review than they will a personal referral. So the younger, that group of people are more likely to go out online and pick somebody online than trusting their best friend's referral. So you gotta have that, right? So I encourage you guys to start getting that out there. Now, I hear you. I'm reading your minds. Margaret, I have never sold anything. How do I get a testimony? You got a mom? Do you have a former coworker? Do you have people who can talk about your credibility, your work ethic, your integrity? Because don't you have those things whether you're selling a house or you're selling cell phones? Funny true story. On LinkedIn, my former realtor, I think I probably bought, I don't know, 4 or 5 houses with Mike, doesn't matter. And when I was still at Lumen, he went out and did a review on my LinkedIn. And this is great, you guys. He says, I have bought and sold several houses with Margaret. I have always found her to be a great communicator. Now, he said that as a realtor about his client. But guess what made a really great testimonial for me? Some of you caught it, some of you didn't. But those types of things, right? Go back in your former lives as professionals. Do you have references from them and get them into your, at least into your website? Get them into your guides, right? Testimonials are the future of your business. Questions on that? By the way, we're past close now, so I guess I can quit. No, I'm kidding.
We have a party now, we're good. How would you like-
No, we're not partying yet. I got 65 more minutes I can talk at you all. I'm not gonna use it up, because I'm gonna leave that to you. Okay, here's the other thing. Greg brought it up. What's your relationship with them after the close?
Okay, you want me more friendly?
Now, for some of you, you could be a one and done. And I think we have a couple clients that we would say we're one and dones with, like, I don't care if I ever do business with those people again. But that's not the norm. Now, there are agents out there that they're one and done. They never call their past clients. They never send their past clients anything. They never invite them to an event. They never do anything. They're very focused on just where's the next deal. Okay? Most of us, especially the culture in our market centers, is very relationship based. Right? We want to stay in relationship with those people that we stood beside at some point in time in their life, at a very important time in their life. Right? How many of you have ever bought a home and never heard from the realtor again? Yeah. Guess what? According to NAR, 78% of both buyers and sellers say they will use the agent that helped them previously. And only 45% do.
That's easy.
Well, they say I would use that realtor again, but then only
45%.
do. Because, oh yeah, there's her name again, it was Bob something. Do I have their, I don't even remember what his last name was, well, I'll find somebody.
And I was curious, they're probably not gonna remember the name thing with your
Yeah.
back, so.
So who dropped the ball?
We have the agent.
The realtor,
Yeah.
right? So the next step to this process is, what is your follow-up plan with your buyers and your sellers?
Is there in command, is there a follow-up for after close for like a year or 2 year?
There could be. I would just say, we're like in Sydney, there's so many smart plans published out there, I would tell you to go and look at them, right?
There is an anniversary smart plan.
Yeah, the home anniversary smart plan is good.
Yeah,
You know, what are you gonna do with it, right?
That's just once a year?
Yes. So I don't want you just to go straight to command. I want you to think. I want you to think about who you are and how do you want to stay in relationship with them, right? Like, I just put them on TTD too, because we actually call our clients. We actually send them birthday cards. We have a system for sending birthday cards. Nope, not on the call. Somebody in coaching just recently sent me a note and said, thanks for sending me a birthday card. Right? We put them on smart plans. We throw them, if they're a buyer, we throw them into HomeBot.
What?
HomeBot. So HomeBot is another paid service, but HomeBot is like sending them their Zestimate. So HomeBot is another tool. You need a lender to partner with you. It's $25 a month, so don't go running out everybody to do it right now. But when you've got some business, HomeBot will send them an email once a month about what their value is on the home. It's an algorithm, but it's not too far off usually. I had one that was, but usually it's pretty spot on. By the way, I have my own house on it. It's pretty close. Yours on it, is yours usually pretty close? Ballpark,
From what it knows, yeah.
for what it knows.
Because
Okay,
they don't know that I've done updates to my home. It's just like his estimate, like,
right.
they don't know, oh, you replaced all the cabinets and put granite in, and you did, whatever. But they
However,
can see, you bought it here, it's been this long, it's probably worth this compared to the neighborhood.
guess what, as the agent, if I'm Stacy's agent and I put her on HomeBot and she comes to my client event and she says, oh my God, we just got done, we're doing all of this remodel. And I say, what did you do? Guess what I go in and do? I up her value. I can manipulate it. The clients can manipulate what they've done to the house. It shows them what their equity is. If you put their mortgage in, well, guess what? You have all that information immediately at the closing. You know what they paid for it, and you know how much their mortgage is. So it's a great tool. But maybe you don't wanna spend the $25, that's okay, put them on monthly neighborhood nurture,
At least.
so they can see what's happening in the neighborhood around them that they just bought in. It's my favorite smart plan. Because it's the one they actually engage in.
Because everybody's curious about what is happening, like, oh, I did see that neighbor 2 blocks over sold his house.
Or AJ's been over there with dumpsters in front of his house and now it's for sale, I wanna see what it looks like on the inside, cause the realtor's not hosting open houses.
Can't put up in front of your house, it's supposed to do this.
So, here's the thing, you guys, right? Is that you gotta stay in communication with them, right? And we know 36 touches or more a year helps you stay top of mind. So do you have an email campaign? Do you have a direct mail campaign? Do you have a phone campaign? Are you doing events? For those of you in Arvada, if you're not already thinking about our holiday breakfast with Santa on December 12th, it is the cheapest client event and it is impressive.
And you see Santa.
You get to see Santa, you get to reach out to your clients, and guess what? Even if none of them come, you sent them an email inviting them, you called them, invited them, you texted and invited them, you got so many touches. Then on their anniversary, what are you sending to them on their 1-year anniversary, their 5-year anniversary, their 10-year anniversary? What's your communication plan after closing? Now, I'm hoping if you're over there at the seller side, now I know why I like listings so much better than buyers. Look at that. Woo! Okay. Hopefully I got the buy out of it. Right? Shoo. But what if they moved out of state? Do I forget about them?
No.
No, because you know what they do? They come back. We're seeing a ton of that. We're starting to see people who we sold their houses 3, 4, 5 years ago and they moved somewhere else. They want to come back. They miss Colorado so bad they're coming back. So if I forget about them and go, well, you know what? They moved to Florida. They're never going to come back. Guess what? Nobody forgot about me.
Right.
So the goal of this class is to help you figure out how to build checklists for your own businesses. And do you see why I'm telling you this just can't be the TC?
Yeah.
Zoom, what you got? Susie always has something. I can count on Susie. Give me people.
Back in Las Vegas, I used to do next step emails.
Mhm.
And I was told by one of my clients, because she had to hire somebody else. I moved and she didn't use me. But anyway, she said that I'm a, gosh, what does she call me? I'm a unicorn. She said that her agent, she was coming to me for next steps. What do we do next? What do we do next? It's like, didn't your agent tell you anything? And she said, you were a unicorn. So it's important to keep everybody informed. I'd rather over communicate than under communicate. And I
Exactly.
always did it in different periods too, because there's too much for all of them.
Yeah, exactly, right, which is why you wanna figure out those everything. So thank you for the next, what's next, because that is what you wanna end every email communication, every text message, every voice communication with your client. Here's what's coming next. You wanna
Yes.
answer the question before they ask it.
Exactly.
Yeah. For those of you that have had closings with me, did you not get emails throughout the process telling you as an agent with your first buyer or seller under contract? Did you not get information throughout the process? And do you remember what the emails always ended with? Here's what's next. Here's what's coming. Okay, so kudos to Las Vegas for teaching you how to be a unicorn. I want a whole room full of unicorns, right? Because that's the key, is to answer the question before it's asked. Stacy, you had.
I was gonna say, and it's not just sending emails, the what's next part, the emails are great. Some clients are really good about reading emails, but what if they're not?
Yeah.
So also it's in those regular communications that you're gonna have phone and everything else, so say they schedule the inspection, we're done, you know, whatever, when you're coming back around to them on that phone call, and you're like, great, this is where we're at, you call them that morning on your time. And you know when they're available, you start to understand their schedule and you say, just wanted to recap where we're at. I sent off that inspection objection to the other agent, as we discussed, you signed it, we sent it, this is what's gonna happen next.
Mhm.
Do you have any other questions for me this time? And you know what you did? You freed up the rest of your day from them having calling you and saying, where are we at with that? What's going on? When am I gonna hear back? Because you already addressed it before, and then you're not scrambling, because that's where we all end up. We scramble back and forth, and then we feel like, oh, I gotta answer that call, my client's calling, even though I'm in the middle of something else. But if you call them ahead of time, you avoid that call later, and you get to stay in your other meeting without thinking, oh, my client's called me 3 times and I'm stuck, and I gotta call him back, I gotta call him back.
Absolutely, right, which is why the communication cadence really helps with that.
Yeah.
The other thing, back when I was only producing, because I used to produce at a higher level than I do now. I had time set aside blocked on my calendar. And it said client communication. And I had an hour blocked on Mondays and an hour blocked on Fridays. And those were my times to touch base with the client, whether we were under contract or not. Now, when we're in this mode,
It's more.
then you're gonna be a little more reactive to it. But again, if they can predict the cadence, right? And in part of your consultations, you're gonna learn, you know what? They can't talk on their cell phones because they're in the OR. You gotta call them at night. Right? If they're a school teacher, the best time to reach them is at 4:30 or whatever it is. Right? But understanding that, and if you set the cadence and they're not sitting back worrying about, I wonder why we haven't heard from coaching. I wonder why we haven't heard from Jesse. Right? I wonder, are we missing something? Now, here's the other thing that's gonna happen, guys. If you're doing this communication and you've got this system laid out this well, after day 10, after you get through inspection resolution, how much do you think you're really communicating with your clients?
A lot less,
Huh?
a lot less, for
A
sure.
lot less, right? I've had buyers call me up and say, hey, we just wanted to see if everything was okay. I haven't talked to you in 3 days. Okay, so is that an expectation to set? That you say, okay, now that we're through objection, and we're pretty much in the hands of your lender, once they get the appraisal back, then we'll figure her out. Aha. I just remembered something on the seller side. So if you have a listing, this is another class I teach. And you get the phone call. Hey, this is Joe from the AMC, and I need to do an appraisal on 123 Main Street. You might want to meet the appraiser there
On appraisal package.
and give him an appraisal package. High level, an appraisal package is giving the appraiser the information he needs and showing him the comps you used to set the price on the house. I will say this, it greatly enhances your ability to not have an issue with the appraisal after that.
So appraisal package.
Yep.
Is
So again, I'm filling that in. We're gonna take pictures of this and get it all out to you guys, and we'll come up with something so you have it. But again, it's like everything you can do along the way, right? So when the appraisal is scheduled, you probably should call the seller and let him know. Hey, the appraiser's coming on this day. If you're home working, it's fine, just don't talk to him. Or
Will they typically have like the same comps that you use though? I mean,
well, you can hope.
okay, like I've done 5, so.
Yeah. So here's the thing, they have access to the same data you have,
Yeah.
but sometimes they don't know it as well as you do. Right? And so this is turning into a completely different class, but that's okay.
So
When I know, but it's good because these are all things I don't normally teach in a classroom setting, right? So if I'm a listing agent or I know I have a listing coming, I'm creating a search in the MLS, client name neighborhood, the Joneses, Applewood. Okay? And then I get the alerts. So every time a house hits the market in Applewood, I can go out and preview it. And I can take notes on it. Because I'm preparing and wanting to understand how to price my house. So if I am monitoring that specific neighborhood tightly, I know what's selling, I know what's going under contract, and those are going to be the comps when I go under contract, right? And then I keep my notes about all those houses. And I'm telling you guys it's paid off. So there's a house across the street from one of my listings, and I was doing this, and Lori just could not remember Lori's house, she just couldn't get ready to go. But I kept driving and going to all of them, and I went to this one and it looked amazing. On the MLS, it said fully updated kitchen. I went over there. They had painted the original cabinets from 1959 black. It was a good paint job. Don't get me wrong, it was a good paint job, but it wasn't a fully remodeled kitchen. Because when you open those things up, they were rough on the inside. And then that really pretty granite looking countertop
It's not granite.
they use that product that you can paint that looks like granite. So an appraiser who's looking at the photos and reading the comments is gonna believe what?
Fully updated.
Brand new kitchen.
Brand new, oh, yeah.
And our house wasn't fully updated. And I was under contract for within 5,000 of what that house was. So when I met the appraiser, I gave him that page and I had written notes. Kitchen upgrade consisted of painting the original cabinets and painted granite countertops. So now he understood why my house was worth the same as that one, when based on the pictures, it should have looked like this. I am telling you, that's how we got that appraisal to value.
How many would you give the appraisers, like 3, 4, 5?
Depends on what I have.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't go more than 5 unless I had a really compelling event. I always give them copies of all the contracts. I give them a copy of the MLS sheet. When I print the comps for the appraiser, I use the appraisal view because that's what they're used to reading. I also, if it's a multiple offer situation, back in the fund of 2020 through 2022, right? We were listing houses for 400, they were selling for 500. There was no comps to justify 500, except the fact I had 10 other offers. And that's what the market showed. So back then, we would actually give a summary of all of the different offers we got to give them the inspector, not the inspector, the appraiser, as much information as possible to get the house appraised where we want it to be. Because as a listing agent, isn't my seller's best interest for that house to appraise?
Yeah.
And as the buyer's agent, don't I want it to appraise?
Yeah.
You do. I mean, there's some buyer's agents that would say, well, no, because if it comes in less, then I can get the house list from my buyer. No, it's gonna get confrontation. And they're gonna lose something,
They would take offers.
huh?
They would take offers over. Like if you gave them 10 offers, just say like, this is how many people want to buy it, like that works.
I would, I gave them an Excel spreadsheet of every offer that we got. I only let them see the one that we accepted.
But would the bank lend on that?
The bank doesn't care as long as the appraiser says the value's there. And the appraiser's job is to determine fair market value. But when the comps are dated and not reflective of the true market, then we have to give them the data to help them get there. And they were very good as if you gave them the data, they would absolutely take that into consideration. And in their summaries, they would talk about the market appreciation, blah, 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 blah. As a result of the market appreciation, this is where this house should be. So yeah, it's just giving them more data. Yes, ma'am.
So you said MLS sheets from the appraisal view, and you said something about bringing contracts from comps. What did you say?
I give them a copy of the contract, a counter offer, and any amended extends.
Got it.
And then on the comps, I also print the appraiser view.
Got it.
And I write notes on the appraiser view if I know things about the house.
You get the appraiser view.
When you're just printing out of the MLS, yeah.
It's a print option in our code.
And then I include, especially if there's some interesting things about the house. Or if there's been some updates, there's usually something you can put on a feature list of the house too.
Yeah. And it's flat. I'm showing everything they did to the house and how much they paid for it.
If they've recently upgraded in any way, I mean, if they've like, especially stuff that can't be seen, the appraiser's still like, I don't know. They're like, oh, they put 40,000 into this house recently because they added this and this and this and this, you know, whatever.
Right.
And they'll look at it. I mean,
They don't know that it has a new electrical panel and a brand new furnace and a brand new air conditioner unless you tell them.
exactly.
They're not looking that close. So
Right,
again-
if you're doing a flip, you wanna like document all the upgrades you did, cause that raises the value. So you put 100 and you can be like, look, here's 100. So,
This all the features of the house.
right.
Yeah.
What did we do? Yep. Okay. So these are all other things. So they do fit into the class because these are other things that fit into your process to properly support and communicate with your client after you go under contract.
Yep.
All right, what questions do we have in Zoom land? I put him to sleep.
No questions. However, my first closing, I didn't realize I was supposed to get the DA to the title company.
Do
We
you
gotta
all
get
want to
paid.
get paid?
Do you pay to close it?
So, okay, so there's this thing in the Keller Williams system that's called CDA. Okay, stands for, Commission Distribution Authorization. So the beauty of working at Keller Williams is you get paid at the table. Everybody like getting paid at the table?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you filled out all your paperwork correctly in compliance, they will, I'll just pick here. Elizabeth or Val, whichever office you're in, will create this commission distribution authorization, and then you grab it out of command, or your TC will, and they'll send it to the title company.
Yeah.
So at closing, you're gonna hand it a bunch of checks. Thank you, Susie.
That's important.
What's the
You're
A?
welcome.
Authorization.
Thank you.
All right, what other questions do we have?
I have a question,
Go ahead.
unless Zoom has. Oh, that's your screen, that's great, so the words closing table, how many closings are truly at a physical table anymore versus like closed online?
I'll say most of them.
All
Right.
right, at a physical
Yeah.
place, okay.
Yeah, most of them are still physically going to the title companies and physically closing. We just typically we don't try and line it up. Like, I'm not calling Greg and saying, hey, my buyer wants to close at 10, is that good for your seller? No, we each schedule our own. Which I feel bad for title because it doubles the work. However, it is what it is.
Wait, what do you mean?
That was during COVID. But pre-COVID, we would try to coordinate.
Right.
And everybody came to table
Zero
their time. So the closer would be like, okay, buyer, you sign these, okay, seller, you sign those same ones, and then just. Now they sit through that whole thing twice. Cause they have they have a closing for the buyer, and then somebody has either them or a different closer has some closing for the seller. So they double the work.
And it may not be on the same.
May not be at the same
Not at the same
location or the same
time.
day, but yeah.
So, yeah, the last time I closed was 2015, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID. COVID changed everything. I actually did a closing in the parking lot, in a car, did a couple of them.
I did too.
One of them, the closer came down, handed the clipboard into my client, said, if you have any questions, call me. And they had little sticky arrows of where the buyer was supposed to sign the client. And I'm standing outside the car in my mask. And my client's like, Margaret, what does this paperwork mean? And so I ended up doing the closing the way that the title closer would do it, because title closer couldn't stay because of COVID. It was a crazy time. I don't even want to go back there.
It was
Okay.
crazy.
Sounds like hell.
Yeah, especially when it's 100 degrees outside.
You're like burning up.
My husband and I closed on one during that time. And I was the realtor and we were the buyers. And I remember she passed in paperwork, he signs, I sign, we pass out, it's the weirdest thing ever. And of course, at least like you said, in my case, at least I knew kind of what I was looking at versus your poor clients, they don't do this all the time. They're looking at it like,
Oh,
what am I signing? Is this right?
I was wondering, Margaret, was all this?
Yeah, exactly. So to answer your question, most of them still happen at a table.
Yeah.
However, one of the other blessings of COVID was the acceptance of the online notaries. Which actually worked pretty slick, like they can literally sign in Europe. Using the online notary. So there's options, work with your closer if your client can't be here. But there's still something fun about sitting at the closing table and using a real pen and doing it, all right? And
then, keys.
keys.
Keys, so even if it's like, usually your buyer gets keys at closing, and key present. So you get to coordinate that.
So let's talk about that. So normally you do a pre-close walkthrough, right? And again, the good old days of the seller and the buyer being in the room together, the seller would bring the keys. And then they would get handed. Okay,
And seller would say.
however, congratulations or kiss my, you know what.
No, they'd be like, this key's for this and this key's
Yeah.
for this and.
They're not my.
But in this environment where they're not closing together, that doesn't happen. So as the buyer's agent, you want to talk to the seller's agent, and find out how they want to handle the key transfer. Okay? Oftentimes, it's take the key out of the lockbox and hang on to it until after everything's done. So you as the buyer's agent, take the key out of the lockbox and you keep it. Okay? Until title is completely done and then you can hand it to your client. If you have a post-closing occupancy agreement, your buyer is still entitled to have a key to the property that they own, even though they're not living in it. Just like for those of you that are renters, your landlords have the ability to get into your house. They have to give you 24 hours notice unless it's an emergency. But so your new buyer is now just become a landlord. Okay? Sometimes some sellers get a little wonky about that. And so you gotta figure it out. So some options have been, fine, we leave the lockbox on the door. And we give the buyer the code to the lockbox at possession. You have one of those. It's not normal. Sometimes some sellers get weird in their head.
Like garage door versus grouping sometimes.
Yeah, garage door openers, pin codes, all of those things, right?
Yeah.
You know, another thing that we probably don't do as well as I'd like to, is as a seller's agent, what a lot of the seller's agents are doing is they're having their sellers fill out an info sheet about the house. What's the garage code pin? What's the front door pin? What time water shut off?
When is trash?
When is trash day? Who's your trash? Where's the keys to the pool?
Where's the mailbox?
Who's your Excel? All of that type of stuff. And so maybe you want to create a form that your seller fills out, that you send to the buyer, or your TC sends to the buyer right before closing. That's it. Not necessarily I'd put on this checklist, but again, as you guys are building out your own systems and your own processes, where are those little extra things? Where are the surprise and the lights? So I watched I watched a webinar with Jenny Wollett a couple of weeks ago, and she was talking about the surprise gifts. And she has these cute little kits that they're super inexpensive. And like to the buyer, like once they go and let's see, I don't remember all of it went, but she had like this little kit, and the kit started with a tape measure, like a measuring tape. And it had, and then once they went under contract for both the buyers and the sellers, she showed up at the house with a thing of box tape, a Sharpie, and some people will actually buy some moving boxes or have them branded. So what are some little gifts along the milestones to be able to surprise and delight your client? Because that's how you get known as a unicorn.
And our title company will supply those things, or at least the stickers for the boxes.
There we go.
So I just found that out.
Yep. You use a different title company than me do, so there's different ones, right? But yeah, there's all those different things. Oh, one of them was a candle. She had a candle that she gave them. Like, there's all kinds of things. If you go back into the Skills Labs video, we actually did a surprise and delight panel. I know Sally Ball was down here, and Amanda and Nikki and Debbie, and we had a whole bunch of people. So, you know, think about those things as you're thinking about your business, and maybe you're not there today. Some of you are still waiting for that first closing. And I am not about spending money you don't have. We lead with revenue. But start thinking about, when I start getting consistent with my closings, what are some little surprise and delights that I could do along the way, right? And I'm going to write up a whole thing. I'll teach a class on what Jenny did that day, but like all those little things, like that make a difference, because then you become memorable, right?
On the closing stuff, how quick do they need to change like the utilities, the trash, the water.
So,
Doesn't some of that happen at closing?
yep, so it depends. Okay, so water specifically is the only utility that can file a lien on the property. So if the HOA is not covering the water for the specific unit, the title company will get the final water reading from the water company and transfer the water bill to the new owner. And they do that effective the date of closing, regardless of what the post-closing occupancy says. Okay? The title company will hold from the seller an amount somewhere between $500 and $800, usually is what I see, based on their last water usage. So to make sure they have enough money to pay that final water bill. And then anything that they took in excess, they return to the seller. Excel, cable, security monitoring, all the other things, they do it whatever the contract says. So if they're taking possession the same day as closing, then I would tell the seller a couple days before closing, reach out to Excel or whoever the power company is, tell them that you will no longer, you're selling the house and you're done on this date. And then I tell my buyer, call them in a couple days in advance and tell them you're closing on that house on that date. Usually one party will get there first and they already know what's going on.
How much does title hold? Because when I sold my house in Miami, I got decent check like a month later. I don't know why.
Depends. I don't know what they do for
They
it.
like screw up or they just hold it.
Well, no, it very likely was water. So when they do water here, if my water bill runs $60 every 2 months. But they would probably hold 500.
They hold a lot.
So maybe taxes.
But then I would get a refund of $440.
Right.
So I don't know.
Florida, I don't know. Every
Yeah,
state
that's
is
what
very
I'm saying.
different on what they do, and how they do it. I sold a house, personal, like an investment property in Ohio, very different than here. With all the procedures, including how water was done and all that. So we're talking about how it is here,
Yeah.
but Florida has been very different.
Yeah.
That's the only utility that I was doing here in Colorado. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Trash, that's where the seller needs to tell you about the trash.
Right.
Right? The city of Arvada, I believe, they decided who the trash company was being.
Yes.
Unless you
Yeah.
chose to get something different, right?
You can still do that.
Yeah. But again, if somebody's never lived in Arvada, how do they know?
Right.
So somebody needs to communicate. And trust me, I don't even know who all the power companies are on the Front Range. Right? So I don't know all the trash rules. So you gotta be talking to your sellers and that's why that form that I was talking about is super helpful. Right?
Yeah, and the more, like you said, in the metro, we're all using Excel Energy pretty much, but if you get out at all, you could be in a small power company, you could be.
It's right.
Yeah,
You don't have to go very far and it's a different company.
Are there counties like on the front range, let's say that handle more, like let's say they cover the trash or they cover the. Is there certain areas or are they all?
It's all different,
I
yeah.
have no idea.
Yeah.
No idea.
All right. Any other questions about the contract, the closing and beyond closing? I know that it seems like we kind of went down some rabbit holes, but honestly, they were really good rabbit holes.
Y'all connected.
They did connect.
They do.
I have a quick comment though about like HOAs, so. Love them or hate them, and I have mixed feelings about them, but I'm in one now. And it was, I thought, kind of high, but when we moved in, I found out what it covered. And it wasn't but these weren't so scary, because it covered snowplow, community lawn maintenance, limb pickup, tree maintenance,
Water?
garbage, not water. Snowplow, sidewalk plow removal, driveway plow.
There is a 55 plus community, can't remember which one it is. But their HOA dues are almost $1,000 a month. Okay, wait a minute.
Eagle Bend.
That includes your heat, your property and taxes, your water, the internet, the maintenance. It's like a condo building. I don't know, it covers my property taxes.
The property taxes got me, I was like, yeah, damn.
And they have multiple swimming pools, they have gyms, they have, I mean, there's
Golf course.
everything on the property.
Worth it.
That's worth it, yeah.
All of a sudden, you're like, oh, I don't have to go spend $25 to $75 a month on a gym. I don't have to go, you know, like, you start adding everything up and you're like, I don't need a separate trash service. I don't need a, yeah.
Yeah.
So as
I think that is,
agents,
I see that.
so as agents, now this is not about contract to close, but you brought it up. When you're talking to buyers and they go, I don't want any place that's got an HOA.
Okay, tell me more.
She's trying to round this to she's picking up the coaching lingo. No, but here's like, tell me more about that, right? Because here's what you have to know.
Right.
Just what you said, not all HOAs are bad. I am thankful for my HOA. Right? And so, yeah, I don't like paying the bill every month. But the reality is I get a lot for it. It's the metro taxes I don't like. Right? But understanding, you gotta get your clients to understand, not all HOAs are created equal and not all HOA's fees cover the same thing. And by the way, listing agents, pick up the doggone phone and call the HOAs before you go on the market and find out what those fees cover. Because you're not advertising it correctly and shame on you.
Thank you for saying that. I agree 100%.
When I asked like about HOAs or something in the past, it's almost like you have to be under contract to get like the documents. So
So-
like if you're looking at something, you're like, so what is deliverables? Cause like, why would you wanna go to contract almost and be like, well, I don't want. all
That's why you have an HOA docs deadline where you have the right to object. So if you
That's
just
like
went,
the contract.
not always.
Not always, but
Not always. So some of them, depending on the HOA community, you could go out online and find them yourself. But the problem is you won't get all of it. You won't get the financials of the HOA without being under contract. Some of them you can find the rules of the HOA just on the HOA management company's website. Okay? Sometimes if the listing agent got more than just an O&E, but got the covenants, you could actually ask the listing agent if they have them. But again, you're not gonna really get the full package until you are under contract, which is why listing agents, you have to get the information to properly represent to the buyers. Like one of the things in the MLS is it said, are there any restrictions in this HOA? Can I tell you how many times I hear the word none?
and there are.
And then you get the HOA documents and no short-term rentals.
No dogs over 8 pounds.
No dogs over 80 pounds. Too bad you just got that Saint Bernard puppy. Right? And so part of it is listing agents aren't getting enough information to tell you in the MLS.
Right.
Okay? I can't fix what other agents do, but I can sure as heck teach you guys what to do. All right?
But like as a listing agent, let's say, is it better for us to get as much HOA info and everything? So if you do have somebody, you'd be like, look, this is everything I got.
I don't necessarily get the documents, but I get the information. So I pick up the phone and I call the HOA. Stacy created a great form that I still have to look at about questions to ask an HOA, right? And it's how much are the dues? By the way, not all HOAs is every property has the same due. Like in some of the condos, if it's a 2-bedroom, their HOA dues are different than a 3-bedroom, okay? So what are the dues? What does it cover? And make them tell you. And when they say sewer, I want you to ask from the unit to the main or from the just the main.
Right.
Because some of them tell you it's sewer and you assume it's the whole thing and it's not. It's only to where the property foundation is. So you gotta ask questions because that's how can you represent the seller. And why am I doing this? Because I don't want a termination and have to go back on contract.
Assessment.
What's this? Yes, I'm gonna ask are there any special assessments? What is the transfer fee? What is the status letter fee? Is there anything moving I need to know? What are the sign restrictions? Some HOAs won't even let you put a sign in the window, let alone out on the property. And that's not just condos and townhomes. You go down to Castle Pines Village and there ain't no signs anywhere. You know how you find out? You wanna know how you find out in Castle Pines Village if a house is for sale? There's a pine cone on the top of the of that, house number that's at the end of the driveway.
And someone lets you change your paint color.
That's how they indicate.
Yeah, so
It's a
again,
community thing, yeah.
ask. As listing agents, that is going to save you so much heartburn after the fact. Okay? Ooh, you got me on a tangent, way to go. All right,
HOA.
well, Lisa's almost asleep.
Nah.
No,
All right.
no, I'm not.
It's so damn.
That's what happens when you spend a month at the beach. All right, what else we got? Patrick, did you coming off mute to talk? No, yes.
I do have a question, but it's not in regard to that. It's in regard to what you and I talked about on the text today. Do you want to talk about that or not really?
Not here, I'll call you later.
Okay,
I actually, when I'm done with this class, I'll call you right away, because I do.
okay. Yeah, no worries.
Okay,
You don't?
I don't know the phone. All right, questions? All right, what'd you take away? Give me some, I need 3.
Get all the HOA.
Communication.
Communication, I love that.
Communication, the better, for sure.
Yeah, you cannot over communicate.
Email everything.
Summarize after every conversation.
Okay,
Call,
yeah.
call.
All right,
Or if it's even in person, still summarize after.
absolutely. All right, give me something else. Somebody else.
The importance of identifying the testimonial process.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay.
The importance of actually learning the contracts, knowing the ins and outs of all the details.
Yeah, know your contracts is the most valuable thing you can have, right? You have access to the most current contracts classes that I have taught. They are on the YouTube channel. You can watch them at 3 o'clock in the morning if you want to. If you can't fall asleep, just listen to me teach contracts. All
That's the best source of degree.
right, nothing else?
I would have thought that the appraisal that I would think that would be a form of interference, but now, the biggest thing I learned was I can come to the appraiser and say, here are my comps. And here's how I came up with this number.
Yeah.
Like,
So-
that's huge to me.
Yeah, I'll go out, and so when they call me, so first of all, we update the MLS so that they can't book the appraisal online. We want to actually talk to them and have their contact information. Other agents just let them book it in showing time or broker rate, doesn't matter. But we want to have that knowledge. And so, you know, they call me, they say, hey, I wanna come out at this time, I'll say, great, I'll meet you out there. Okay, and so then they come, and by the way, I get there early. All the drapes are open, the lights are all on, it looks just like it did at every showing, right?
Yeah.
Cause guess what? Appraisers are people too. Okay, don't take your staging down until the appraisers have been out. You want them to get that same great feeling. Okay, and then, you know, they'll knock on the door and I'll say, hi, Margaret, blah, 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 and then depending on the appraiser, sometimes they'll go measure outside. And then they'll come in and they'll do their thing, and it depends on how they want the conversation to go, but I usually have it in a nice little portfolio folder. And I'll say, okay, well, I brought you some information, I don't know how much you got from the lender, you know, and then I flip everything open, there's my business card, and then I say, okay, over here on the left is everything contract. There's the original contract, the counter offer, a couple of amends that we've done. And then also I put a copy of the MLS there, and then also the marketing sheet that we had, the flyer that in there. And then over here on the right, I put all the comps on there just so you could see I wasn't totally crazy when I put this price in play. And they laugh. And some of them will do this and they'll flip through it. And then I always say, do you have any questions on the house? Because sometimes they do. Like they want to know, do you know when they updated that bathroom? Or do you know when this happened? Do you know when that happened? And I do. If I've done my job, I do. Okay? And that makes a difference. And so if I'm out there being a professional answering their questions, I'm up in my chance.
Do you go in there with them during the appraisal, or do you just meet them to?
Oh, I'm inside the house.
There you are.
It's no different than an open house in my book.
Okay.
I have a question
I don't
about
follow them
how,
around.
No. I don't follow them around, I just stand there.
Make sure you do it, but your thing.
Yeah, but I still stay, because then I'm turning all the lights off and I'm locking it back up. So I'm staying there with them, but this light only 10 minutes.
Please ask a question.
Lisa.
I have a question about who is the appraisal shared with? So my last transaction, we had an appraisal waiver. So, does that buyer's agent share that appraisal with me as the seller's agent? As the-
Only if there's a problem.
Okay, and today was appraisal objection deadline, so I haven't heard anything.
Well, there you go. Well, who knows? With that agent, it's not 11:59 yet, so,
But we
yeah.
also have appraisal gap too.
Right. So here's the thing with appraisal, right? Great question. The only person who gets the appraisal is the lender and the buyer. As the buyer's agent, if you get it, it's because your buyer forwarded it to you. Or they gave the lender permission to give it to you, because they own the appraisal. Okay? Honestly, as a buyer's agent, as long as I got value and no conditions, I don't really care. Right? I'm curious, but I don't care. And the longer I've been in the business, the less I care. Right? As a newer agent, I liked reading them, right? Because it got me to understand what's in the brains of the appraisers when they're writing them up. Right? As a listing agent, don't expect to ever get them. I had sellers say, can I get a copy of the appraisal? And I go, why do you need it? Well, I'm curious what the value came in.
It was good.
And I say, well, here's the thing.
I just-
I remember saying this to Bentley one time. I said, Bentley, if I call and tell you we're good on the appraisal, but you really care what it appraised for. Well, I just want to make sure I didn't leave money on the table. And I said, well, if you think I'm going to tell you that, you're nuts. See, as a listing agent, if the buyer's agent was to tell me, hey, the house came in 10,000 over our list price, yay for us. I ain't telling my seller that.
Right.
Because who looks bad?
You.
And an appraisal is nothing more than one person's opinion. Right? You could send 5 appraisers in there, and I doubt they're all going to get the same answer. They're going to get close, but they're not going to get the same answer. So what I always tell my sellers is, if we don't hear anything on the appraisal, we're good. And we don't care. You're getting your money.
Yeah.
Right? The buyers, they love to celebrate, right? And oftentimes, depending on your lender, like a lot of my lenders will call me and say, hey, we got the appraisal back and it appraised 10,000 over purchase price. And I'll go, great, tell the buyer yet? And they go, no. And I'm like, don't, give me an hour. And then I call the buyer and go, hey, I just heard from your lender. We got your appraisal back. And you know that house you paid 500,000 for? It just appraised for 510. Instant equity, way to go. Right? But no, there's no guarantee as the listing agent you're going to get it. You're only going to get it if it comes in under value and they want to fight with you.
Okay.
Good questions. Anything else? All right, I'm glad you found value. Go build your spreadsheets or your checklists or whatever you're going to do. And if you want to take it to the next level, then you got your processes all laid out. Then you identify the who, right? Like on the seller side, sending disclosures. In my world, we don't do that. Our TC does that, right? So identify the who's going to do this for you, right? When it comes to buying closing gifts, it says Stacy. Can I have your credit card? I need to go buy closing.
I thought you were gonna say the monogram or made a mistake or something.
No, they still use those towels. We've given out those towels to a couple of different clients.
Yeah, there was one.
The
other
Levon's
one.
got one.
Yeah.
Arden's parents got one. So.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna let you all go. Thank you for playing. All right, see you later.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank
you,
Mark.
So it's like Christine.